welcome to another reaction stream. We're looking ahead to Game Week 19 and also talking about Game Week 18, and we've possibly just had the best game of the season in Spurs versus Liverpool. It was a very good game to watch, and literally just came back from watching it and setting up the stream right now, and thank you to everyone who's decided to tune in today. There might be a quick turnaround of games. Obviously, we still have up until the next weekend. That's if the games do go ahead. So many games got postponed for this weekend, and there could be much more to come over the next few weeks. There could even be a break. Who knows? The talks that the clubs are going to have with the Premier League tomorrow should give us a lot more clarity. As for Game Week 18 itself, good on the most part, and I got a small green arrow back up into the top 50k, so can't really complain too much about that. But once again, Foden kind of biting me, to be honest. You know, whenever I get him in, I don't know, he just doesn't really do it for me, at least in FPL. In UCL Fantasy, he has done pretty decent, you know, last season and this season, but not the case at the moment. Didn't even play. I think he definitely could have done very well. And just as I was talking about yesterday, you know, those kind of captaincy options from City, Cancelo, Foden and De Bruyne, those were kind of my top three picks other than Salah. I ended up going with Salah myself, and I originally had, I think, the vice captaincy on Cancelo, but because of all the uncertainty about the games going ahead or not, I decided to put the vice captaincy on Lacazette instead. Doesn't really make a difference regardless, but Salah, that is his second blank of the season. And don't worry, we're going to refresh the page right now because we do have the updated totals, at least not for the bonus points. And guess what? Trent Alexander-Arnold, that is 3 bonus points for him again. He's just a bonus points machine. It's absolutely incredible. Alonso got 3 bonus points as well. And Cancelo, of course, he's going to get 3 bonus points, no doubt about it. James, none for him. Same with Bernardo Silva, who still could have got an assist today, but didn't end up doing so. And I believe none for Jota and Salah, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely Salah won't get any. And Lacazette, of course, didn't get any himself. But on the whole, really, apart from Foden, have to say, and Salah, of course, the rest, you know, did pretty decent. Bernardo Silva, yeah, he blanked as well. But yeah, ultimately, Cancelo, very, very good. And those who captain him, fair play. And I think sometimes taking those risks can definitely propel you up the ranks. It could easily go the other way around, but you know, sometimes you have to take a risk, and it does make sense. Salah did play Tottenham, and it wasn't the easiest fixture, regardless of how poor Spurs have been this season. But let's go through your questions, see what you lot are saying. And yeah, back around 47,000, not too bad. It's not great, but you know, it could be much worse, so you know, got to be positive. So Ninja says, not a very good game week, 41 points, but still have a second half still to play with 3 Liverpool players. Yeah, so I'm guessing you have Jota. If that's the case, then yeah, you would be in maybe around 50, unless you said that after Jota scored. But either way, you know, I think anything over 40 points is not too bad this week, and definitely if you're above the average, you're in a good position. A lot of people took hits this week. Yogesh says, flop week, I wanted to captain Cancelo. That's the thing, you know, you always just have to captain the player you think is going to score the most points. I'm just the most confident in Salah returning. That's why I captained him. In the end, he didn't do it. But of course, it's impossible for any player to do that every single week. It's just impossible, even for Salah and the current form he's in. Yeah, Golden Boy says, same, I was going to, but I didn't want to risk it. A lot of people kind of were in the same boat where they thought it was maybe too risky to go away from Salah. And it always will be risky, but, you know, it's about timing and a bit of luck, ultimately. Choose says, hey Dylan, took a -8 to bring in Douglas Luiz, Foden and Ramsdale. Got a net -6 points. Sad to be honest. Looking forward to the next game week already. Yeah, I mean, the Foden one is very unlucky. With Ramsdale, whenever you take a hit for a goalkeeper, it probably won't pay off in that particular game week. You need them to keep a clean sheet, maybe get some bonus points, save points or whatever, for that to really pay off. And that's more of a long-term move for Ramsdale. As for Douglas Luiz, you know, making a hit which involves a 4.5 million bench fodder option is never really going to pay off regardless. With Foden, though, that is very unlucky. He has the potential. If he had started, he definitely could have got a big return. So that's the kind of unlucky part there. But when you look at the other two, you can understand why you maybe lost out on some points this week. Kane deserved the red card as well. Yeah, I believe so as well. But you know, I think VAR checked it and they didn't tell the referee to check it himself. So yeah, that's pretty much down to VAR. Took a hit for Foden, lost in the cup by 1 point. Wow, yeah, wow, that is incredible. And that's why, if it wasn't for all the circumstances this game week, you probably would have won easily. And I'll be showing you my cup opponent very soon. I still won quite comfortably, but to be honest, if I hadn't have beaten that, then, you know, it would say a lot about this game week, to be honest. 47 points, 113k to 230k, big red, says Subham. If you did take hits, then that will maybe be a big reason why, but ultimately it's a lot of bad luck. You know, you might have stacked up on certain teams who ended up having, you know, games cancelled, like Aston Villa. These things are kind of, you can plan all you want, but sometimes luck is not going to be on your side and you need it to be. Welcome, Christian. Thank you for tuning in. Captain Foden, but Jota came in as vice, 60 points with no hits taken or chips used. Good week. Yeah, and obviously you got a kind of a little advantage over the Salah captainers by 5 points or so. I think that's pretty decent, to be fair. 66 points yet, 1.4 million in the world. That's still a good score this week. You've got to take it one step at a time, and you can still get into the top 100k or even higher, but it's going to be a long journey and you've got to be consistent. I made 66 with 9. Yeah, that's good. I mean, 66 points from just 9 players is very good. I got 60 from, 9 as well? Yeah, because no Dennis and no Foden, everyone else played. Yeah, so I think 66 is a good score considering, not having a full 11 out. What a beautiful bang of a match to end a crazy game week. Yeah, and kind of a reminder of why we all want football to go on if possible, but yeah, that was a great game. One of the best of the season in my opinion. Up to 27k, very good rank. That's very, very good. Had only 9 players. Yeah, I think a lot of people had 9 players, especially those who got Foden in to kind of try to get to 10 or 11, but he didn't even start anyway. He should start in the next game, but you know what, with Pep, just, yeah, the fact that I've got a triple up on City, it's not ideal, to be honest. Did Ruben Dias get bonus points? I actually believe he didn't. I'll check that in a second for you, but I believe he didn't. Looking at it, I think Cancelo got 3 for sure. And then I think a few other players, maybe Mahrez got some. I'll be talking about that very soon. 37 points with bonus. It's kind of a tough week for most of us. You just got to take on the chin and move on. And maybe next week you're going to be in a much better position to attack that VV-FPL. 80 points for me. Cancelo captain was a massive boost. That's a very good score. And yeah, 80 points in a week like this is very, very good. Let's see what else. Do you think Kane... If Kane killed someone, he could avoid jail time. Maybe not jail time, but he would probably avoid a red card. If he killed someone on a football pitch or something. But yeah, Robertson deserved the red, but looking at Kane, that was also a red in my opinion. Captain Cancelo put me in the top 10k for the first time with 78 points this week. Very good score once again, similar to the others that have said that. And yeah, Cancelo captainers is pretty much a very fantastic week for you. I was originally considering him, I had him as my vice captain, but as for the captain, I still just wanted to go for Salah. So yeah, obviously it would have been ideal to captain Cancelo. That's kind of a 16-point difference really between you and Salah captainers, and it's a very big boost because without that you'd be getting maybe 60s, 50s, but yeah, either way I think all of those scores are pretty decent. Sell CR7 for Watkins, sell Region for Dallo. I think on paper yes, but I would wait until we get more information. So try to leave those transfers for the end of the deadline, but I would probably do that. I'd rather kind of spread the funds around and have a very good squad depth with the circumstances we have, and let's see if the games do go ahead. But I think yes, I like the transfers, but I'd wait, Anthony, up until the deadline to finalise them. Got around 50 points, brought in Foden, so only played with 8 players. A shame I cannot control a pandemic. Well, yeah, none of us can. We can control certain things, we can control who we bring in and all of that, but then again, those players might not end up playing because of something like a postponement due to snow, due to COVID or something like that. But yeah, 50 with 8 isn't too bad, and it's better than most, I think. Yeah, a lot of Cancelo captainers in the chat. 65 points up to 91k. That's good. I think 65 is a solid score. Hello, my Arsenal buddy. Top strikers for next game week. We'll talk about that very soon. So I've already kind of recapped on my game week 18 performance. There's not much more to talk about. I'll be talking also about my team selection heading into the next game week and what I'm thinking about doing, and I'll also be talking about that in other videos if, once again, the games actually do go ahead. I don't want to obviously just make videos for no reason and then the games get cancelled, but we'll wait and see. And this is, by the way, my cup opponent. So I think he has 25 points, but with Cancelo coming on, it brings him up to 40. If not, I think he has 43 in the end. Yeah, because Cancelo's got 3 bonus points. So yeah, 43 points for my cup opponent. I got 60. So a relatively comfortable win, all things considered. But look how many players he's got missing. So he pretty much only had 1, 2... Yeah, pretty much no one. 7 players. And he still did all right, to be honest. So yeah, I think the cups are very turbulent. Anyone can lose to anyone based on everything that's happening at the moment. So now let's look at the fixtures. So the best strikers for next game week, as asked by our viewer. So I think if the United versus Newcastle game goes ahead, then Ronaldo is definitely up there. No doubt about it. Maybe Kane, dare I say, against Crystal Palace. He's got a great record against the Eagles, but Kane, obviously let's wait and see. He missed a lot of chances today. He should have scored 2 or 3 at the very least, but still got that goal, and I think that Kane can come good, but still I don't expect anyone near the levels of last season. But Kane and Ronaldo definitely up there, and other than that, it gets a bit more difficult when we look at the rest. I still think Mikel Antonio against Southampton. The Saints are looking very poor recently. I think that Antonio could be a great choice. You could even arguably target the Arsenal-Norwich fixture, but I do prefer their midfielders. Martinelli's looking very good now at 5.2 million or 5.3. Then we've got Odegaard, who's still looking good, although I still prefer Smith-Rowe and Saka. But you could still go for Lacazette. But the thing is, and I've talked about this all the time, Lacazette can have a very good game but not get you the points or the goals you want. City against Leicester, I think Gabriel Jesus, if he starts, could be a nice forward, but that's the problem. Is he going to start? I'm not too sure. And we kind of found out the hard way with Phil Foden. But looking at the rest of the games, Wolves versus Watford, I don't think it's a great fixture for either team, so I probably would stay clear, but Jimenez and Dennis could definitely do alright, same with King. But ultimately, to kind of break it down, Ronaldo, Harry Kane and Antonio would be kind of my top 3 forwards for the week, and then the rest I'm looking at midfielders really, and that includes Liverpool against Leeds, for example. But hopefully you got the answer to your question. This is my team selection, by the way. Salah captain for sure against Leeds. The fact they conceded 3 goals in half an hour, something like that, against Arsenal. Against Liverpool, that could be a very big scoreline once again. Marcelo Bielsa, maybe he could be sacked at some point. You never know. I'm not too sure about vice-captaining Foden, especially now that he got benched today. But the team's looking good. I've got Dennis on the bench too, and Livramento and Douglas Luiz. I've got a bit of squad depth now, which is very, very handy. I've only got 1 free transfer because I used both of them heading into Game Week 18. But still, I do like my midfield and most of my team. There's just a few weaknesses, and I'll be honest, I do prefer Watkins over Lacazette, but I can always make that move heading into Game Week 19 or 20, should we say, kind of losing track of all the game weeks. But I'll be talking about all the future transfer plans in my team selection video, but this is kind of a brief overview, and as you can see, Salah is my captain, and let me know what you lot are thinking as well. So let's try skim through these as well. 58 with bonus points, I think that's good, Christian. Obviously it's not the greatest score, but at the same time, with all the circumstances, I think 58 is a solid score. Most people will have major benching headaches next game week if all matches go ahead. But you'd rather have the points on your bench than none at all, really. That's the way I see it. It's not ideal to have points on your bench, but at the same time, it's good to have that squad depth if needed, which we probably will at some point. Let's see. Man, my plan was to captain Cancelo all week, went with Foden in the end. At least my vice-captain Lacazette outscored Salah. Slight green to 3k. The thing is, the Flying Dutchman, obviously, it's kind of tough, when you really are settled on an idea and then you change your mind and it goes wrong, but it can always sometimes go right. It's kind of you never know. I was talking about this. People asked me yesterday, who do you prefer as a captain, Foden or Cancelo? And I said it's really tough. I think it's 50-50 almost. But I said I slightly prefer Cancelo because even just with the clean sheet, that's already another avenue of points. That's the thing with Cancelo. You can get assists, goals from time to time, and bonus points, all of that, clean sheets. That's why I preferred him over Foden, but I never expected Phil to be benched, and it can happen at any time, so that's a bit unfortunate. 53 points, but lost my League Cup game. I've seen a few people with a similar score to you, Damien, who also lost their cup game. I think that's just bad luck as well. Maybe with normal circumstances, you would have won. Patrick, my 60 points includes the bonus. So if you look on screen to the team that I had for Game Week 18, it hasn't counted the bonus points yet on the screen, but I do have 60 overall. Do you think 50 points is good? I think, considering all the circumstances, Manish, I think it is. I can't believe I captained Cancelo. Obviously, I mean, if I captain Cancelo, I wouldn't celebrate, but I'd be obviously very happy with it. So anyone who captained Cancelo, enjoy it, have a drink or whatever. But that's a really good call. And Cancelo was always a good option regardless. It might have backfired if Salah went crazy or whatever, but the Tottenham game was always going to be relatively tough, but I thought Salah would get an assist or a goal at least. With Cancelo, you never know. But I think Cancelo, it's a bit similar to last season when he played West Brom, where some people captained him. I think this was kind of a similar opportunity facing Newcastle, who are looking very poor. Is 60 with only 8 played good? Yep, I believe so. Hi Dylan, do you think Man United will play next game week? Good question. I'm not necessarily concerned about one game going ahead or not. I'm concerned about all of the Premier League games being postponed, to be honest. It depends on Manchester United's situation and also Brentford, I believe. Let me actually check the fixtures once again. Yes, Newcastle, sorry. Brentford was the one that got suspended. Brighton play Brentford. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Man United are the ones with the COVID cases. Newcastle, not so much. That's why their games have gone ahead recently against City and Liverpool. But I think that, yeah, the game should go ahead if the Premier League decide to push on and have games going on during Boxing Day. But I'm a bit concerned about the grand picture, the grand scheme of things. That's where it can get a bit more tricky, and maybe all the games will be called off, really. But let's wait and see. But I'm not that concerned about Man United per se. 71 points this week with Foden, Gundogan and Watkins not playing. That's good. So basically, with 8 players, 71 points. That's fantastic, to be honest. Kai Havertz says, Cancelo captain took me into the top 20k. Yeah, I think this kind of caused these captains on Cancelo that can push you into these very good ranks. So obviously it's very good. I'm not going to try to think about what rank I would be if I had captain Cancelo, but it's a very good call to captain him. I think Cancelo would have been in my top 3 captaincy choices this week. Thoughts on Son in for Bernardo, want to go off triple City. Yeah, I think Son looked very dangerous, but at the same time he's not going to play a high line like Liverpool every single week. That's what I would say about it. But he looked very threatening, so did Kane. And I think he could be a great option, and I'm also thinking about it. Bernardo Silva is still a good choice, and he could have got an assist today, but yeah, he's not looking as appealing as he was maybe 3 game weeks ago. 72 points, absolutely buzzing. That's a good score this week. Captain Cancelo got 76. Yeah, a lot of good scores here in the chat. As things stand right now, your plans with the City triple up? It's very early because I literally just tripled up on City, and I never would have done it if it wasn't for the postponements. Let me be completely clear about that. I would have rather kept Gallagher, maybe go for Bowen and other players. I didn't want to triple up, if I'm being quite frank. So yeah, it's going to be tricky, but I think Cancelo's always going to stay. He's a fantastic choice. He's at the moment, my favourite defender. Trent is looking really good too. And yeah, Bernardo and Foden, one of them could definitely make way in the coming weeks, but I literally just brought Foden in. So I think a more realistic choice would be getting rid of Bernardo and maybe going for Gallagher again or someone else. I have to think about that. But yeah, these kind of late postponements have changed my plans completely, and I've had to adapt. But I think Bernardo could make way in a few weeks' time. If not, it could be Foden. Cancelo's definitely staying. I don't mind a double up in City, but at the same time, I don't think I need it. And the same goes for a triple up. And I think the fewer triple ups you have, the better. So a triple up on Liverpool is fine, but try not to do the same thing with Arsenal, Chelsea, City, etc. Because what if one of their games get called off and the rest goes on? You're going to be in a bad position. So yeah. Martinelli's a good transfer? I believe so. I've always said I don't really like the options around 5 million, but right now Martinelli's looking fantastic. Even Odegaard's looking good. But the thing with Martinelli is just maybe it's kind of a bias thing. The reason why I haven't even considered him too much. But Arteta doesn't really seem to trust him, or at least he didn't before this period. But he's shown a lot of consistency and he's getting a lot of FPL points. So yeah, I think Martinelli is looking good now, and I don't think he will be dropped. But a few weeks ago, I would have been very surprised if he told me, you know what, he's actually going to go on a little run now of assists and goals and stay in the team playing 90 minutes pretty much every game. I'd have been very surprised. Thank you, Melvin. Yeah, I didn't see the chat that you moderate, but thank you very much. Bernardo to Son next game week, get rid of City triple up. Yeah, I mean, that's also a good call. Yeah, I believe that's a good move to make. And Son still has some good fixtures, even arguably up until Game Week 28. Tony versus Brighton over Watkins versus Chelsea. Yeah, I would still rather play Tony, and he's on penalties. But at the same time, you look at it on the other end, and Chelsea aren't looking that good. I know they kept a clean sheet today, but they have still been a bit fragile and vulnerable recently. So I don't think Watkins is a bad option. But out of those two, I would still go for the fixture and go for Tony. Christian got knocked out of the cup thanks to Alisson's mistake. Yeah, I mean, I said it from the beginning of the game. He looked very nervy. I know he made a great save to deny Kane, but he just made these little errors, these just coming out, of his goal and not being commanding. I don't know. Alisson's kind of been like that for the last year or so. He's still a top goalkeeper, of course, but he's not really been that secure as much as he used to be anyway. I forgot to captain Cancelo because I ran out of data on deadline. Then this happens. Oh wow, yeah, that's why you want to have or make these decisions as early as possible. To be honest, 58 including bonus points from today had 9 players available. Foden missed out, so I'll take that. Yeah, for 8 players, 58 is a good score. Trust me. 2.5 million in the world, first FPL season, use first wildcard, free hit and triple captain. Yeah, of course you can make the top 1 million. You're not that far behind. But yeah, you've got to maybe be a bit more strategic with your chips going into the future. But at the same time, chips are a bit overrated by some people, in my opinion, because yeah, they can be a nice boost, but you shouldn't plan or have your whole season revolve around them. But I still think maybe be a bit more strategic when you use them, because you can sometimes combine two of them and then really make use of it. And other than that, I think just be patient with transfers. Try to give your new signings plenty of time to come good. 82, very happy sticking with Cancelo captaincy. Yeah, I think that's a really good call. And Cancelo was always a great captaincy option this week with that fixture. And yeah, if it wasn't for all the kind of postponement hysteria, I probably would have vice-captained him, but I probably wouldn't have captained him, to be honest, this week. And that is probably a mistake. 69 points on a free hit. Was it worth it? It's a good score. It also depends on how much or how many points you would have scored without the free hit. So if you would have scored maybe 30 or 40 points and you gained an extra 20, 30, I think that's a decent free hit. Hi mate, I didn't captain Salah this week, captain Foden, but he didn't start and I got Salah vice, but my rank is 46 or 469,000. How come that is? Well, Salah's points will be doubled. That's the way it works. So if your captain doesn't play, the captaincy will switch to your vice captain, and that's the reason why we have them. And he will then have his points doubled, so you'll get 4 points instead of 2 for him. Is 83 points decent? You already know the answer to that question, mate. Thanks for your response, Dylan. Thank you, Niraj. I got the same game week points as you. Yeah, a lot of people, I think, got between 50 and 70 this week, which is good, at least in the live chat. In terms of the kind of whole FPL sphere, I mean, maybe the same thing, actually, because a lot of people have similar teams. And even the players we brought in, like Lacazette and stuff, a lot of people are going for the same players. I'll be honest, I never actually ever predicted, a universe where I transfer in Lacazette in FPL, to be honest. Here's my team, Trent, Cancelo. So this is owned by M's team. Who should I bench or play, and what transfers should I make? I'm not sure what your transfer situation is in terms of your budget and all of that, but in terms of who to play, definitely Trent and Cancelo. You want to be starting them pretty much every single week. And I would probably start Tierney. Let me have a look at the fixtures just to give you the best possible answer. So Spurs play Palace. I don't think Reguilon's a bad shout either. So let's see. Salah is always play him. Yeah, Leeds, you have to play Jota as well. Ooh, that's tough. Yeah, who to bench? To be honest, I think you've done the right thing. The players you are actually starting, I think I'd do the exact same thing. You could maybe think about putting Alonso in for one of those players like Reguilon, but I don't think you have to buy him. And as for what transfers you should make, if you have one, maybe consider saving the other one because you've got a strong squad for the week. I don't think you need to make a transfer. I had 8 players in Captain Cancelo and got 71 points, not too bad. I had no Arsenal players too. That's pretty decent, to be fair. I like Ramsdale. I think he's the best keeper, but you don't need him. You don't need any of these Arsenal players. And I'm a bit not nervous, but I'm not that impressed or keen on having double or triple Arsenal. At the moment, I've got Lacazette and Ramsdale. I don't think that will last for too long. Lacazette is kind of a short-term punt for me. And I think that's a really good score considering you had no Arsenal players. Gabriel Henderson and Brownhill to Jota Martinelli and a 5 million defender for a -8. I think that looks good, the flamethrower. But once again, for a -8, you could maybe try to spread those transfers across multiple weeks and limit it to a -4 or a 0. By that 0, I mean free transfers. Once again, Krish, the 60 points, it doesn't add up to 60 because the bonus points haven't been represented on screen because FPL haven't updated them yet, but I do have 60. I checked livefpl.net. Martinelli transfer saved my game week. That's a fantastic transfer. I think I'm more impressed by that than a lot of the kind of maybe even Cancelo captain. But imagine you captain Cancelo and you brought in Martinelli. That is an incredible week. You could even be looking at 80 to 90. But Martinelli transfer. Whoever did that, fair play, because I didn't see a 15-point haul coming. But he's looking really good. DCL coming back from injury, and with Everton's good fixtures, he could be the next 4 to jump on potentially. But I've kind of, or maybe not me, but a lot of people have got their hopes up with forwards, and it just hasn't really paid off. So I'd still just maybe observe, see what happens, and then maybe jump on. But definitely, I've been talking about Calvert-Lewin a few weeks back. When he returns, and also Bamford, they could also be worth considering. Dennis or Duffy to bench? I'd rather start Dennis and bench Duffy. I did Bowen and Gallagher to Martinelli and Saka for a -4. Boy, did that pay off. Yep, and no wonder you got a good score like you said already. That's a really good set of transfers. I'm not too keen on Martinelli and Saka in the long term, but, definitely keep that for Norwich and then maybe move one of them on after. Alonso plus MacArthur to Aït-Nouri and Martinelli. I mean, it looks good. It looks good. But yeah, I'm not too sure about Alonso to Aït-Nouri personally, but MacArthur to Martinelli is definitely a really good transfer. But yeah, I'm not that sure about the other one. But as a set of transfers, you are improving your team. You are playing against Alonso against a good Villa side over Dennis. I mean, I'm not completely sold on that. That's a really good point you make, KS. I might actually end up benching Alonso for Dennis, but it could easily go the other way around. It could be James blanking, could get 0 points, and Alonso gets the assist, and vice versa. Yeah, I think Chelsea can still do pretty decent in that fixture and can keep a clean sheet. But yeah, I might change my mind over the next few days. I think Dennis for Alonso is definitely one I'm considering, but I wouldn't bench anyone else for Dennis, I think, if I'm looking at my team. I just brought in Foden for this week and contemplating getting rid of him for Sancho. Yeah, I can see that, getting United assets in and all that, but I still prefer Foden. I think he's a far better asset than Sancho right now, so I probably wouldn't do that. I'd just keep Foden. Should I roll with this team, says Noah? Yes, I probably would, and I'm guessing, let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good team. I would just maybe look to upgrade on Brownhill, potentially, and Johnson, so try to have as much squad depth as possible. But yeah, that looks good, and Rudiger, James, Alonso, they're kind of all scoring similarly, so there's not much difference between all of them right now. And yeah, your midfield looks good, and yeah, that looks like a fantastic team. Lacazette is someone to maybe get rid of in a few weeks' time, but definitely keep him for Norwich. Yeah, a lot of Cancelo captainers in the chat. What do you think about Gallagher to Martinelli or Smith Rowe? I mean, that's an interesting one. I think over the next 3 or 4, Palace do have some kind of tough fixtures. So I think that's a good move. The thing is, though, that Arsenal do play City soon, and they still have some mixed fixtures on the horizon. But yeah, I think Smith Rowe, I don't see him necessarily getting back into the starting 11 yet, but he could just keep on coming off the bench and scoring. I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, I think I'd go for Martinelli right now. But Smith Rowe, I think when he is nailed, and he tends to be the most nailed midfielder, I prefer him over Saka, Martinelli, and the others. I have 1,175 points and 48k rank. 48.7. Yeah, it's probably because we've got the exact same number of points and people have like a shared rank. I think that's how it is. I checked livefpl.net. I don't think it's exactly accurate, so sometimes when FPL actually loads the next day, I might go up or down a little bit more, but yeah, it's not much of a difference. Let's see what else. Over or under 4 cancelled games next game week, Dylan? I'm not too sure. I think the Premier League will try their best to make the games go ahead, but if most clubs kind of question the whole thing, then I wouldn't be surprised if we do get at least a week or two's break of football. I'm not that sure if 4 or 6 games will be cancelled again or whatever, but I think maybe every single game could be postponed. So we'll find out more tomorrow when the meeting is done. Ramsdale, Tierney, Diaz, Cancelo, Trent, Reguilon. What back four would you go with if all games go ahead? Yeah, I'll definitely go for Cancelo and Trent, of course. Always start them. Then it's a question of the others, and that's where it gets a bit tricky. I would play Reguilon and possibly... That's tough. I'd still probably play Diaz. I'd rather double up on City defence than Arsenal, so I'd bench Tierney. Rudiger or Alonso? I think long-term Rudiger, but there's not much in it right now. Thank you, The Flying Dutchman. Hold on to Bernardo. I mean, I think it's worth giving him a few more weeks, especially if you just brought him in. But yeah, I am looking to maybe get rid of him in a few weeks' time. But yeah, for now, I'd say he's a hold. I finished on 65 after a -8 hit. I would have gained 11 more points if I hadn't made any transfers. Brought Foden, Ramsdale, and Watkins in. Kane out. Yeah, I mean, but who would have expected Kane to finally score now? And yeah, that is crazy, to be fair. I can see why you brought Watkins in and all of that, and it's very unfortunate that the game got called off. Then maybe you would have actually made more points there, Eduardinho. Same back five as yours: Salah, Jota, Bowen, Sterling, Watkins, Antonio. Potential transfers next game week. Yeah, that looks good. Those players that you have, Sterling's a very nice differential, really, and Watkins, I would have got him in, really, if it wasn't for the COVID cases. I'm not sure if the Villa game necessarily will go ahead, if I'm being honest, because they just had the COVID outbreak. And yeah, if we're looking at it, it's not necessarily within the 10-day period, is it? Where they're all kind of clear to play. But in terms of potential transfers next game week, I wouldn't still target just one specific set of matches. I'd look at the long term. So it's kind of the same names as always that we're talking about. So Cancelo, Trent, James at the back. If you want another defender, Tierney's still really good. Soufal and Reguilon, they all look fantastic. Matty Cash too, if Villa goes ahead. Then you're looking at midfielders. Foden is still a great choice. One benching doesn't change that. Jota, if you don't have him already, I'd go for him. Mason Mount, I think he's a great choice right now, but I don't like the fixtures and also the blanks coming up fairly soon. So I probably wouldn't go there. Bowen is a good one. You've already got him. Looking up front, I think Watkins, for those who don't have him, is also another. And Dennis, I don't know if you have Dennis. I think he's still a really good purchase. Same with King. So I'd be looking at those sorts of options because, one game it doesn't really change my mind about who you should buy, hold or sell that much, to be honest. And another one would be Son. I think if you want a kind of, not medium priced, but a kind of borderline premium midfielder, then Son is definitely one of them to go for. And I probably would... it's kind of 50-50 on Sterling because of recent form, but I still prefer Son going up until the end of the season over Raheem Sterling. Tsimikas, 3.7 million for 3 games. Yeah, but he's just probably not going to play the majority of games. He might get the odd start, but no. Sevenez, I did get a green arrow. Not that much, though. I think I was around 54k before the deadline. Henrik, obviously, get well soon, Henrik. You'll be fine, hopefully. Christmas ruined. I know a few people who do have, illnesses and all of that. Unfortunately, not maybe COVID. I'm not sure if that's the case, but obviously it's not ideal. But hopefully you can enjoy your time with your family and friends. And if not, obviously just stay safe and enjoy the festive period as much as possible. You can still have a good time. But yeah. You still have something to kind of lean back on. FPL going well, it could be worse. Obviously, I'm kidding. Who should I start, Dennis or King? I would still go for Dennis, but that's the problem with having both of them. You don't know who to bench. It could, one day it could be Dennis blanking, King gets the penalty, and he does well. So it's tough, but I would go for Dennis. Bench King or Watkins? I would bench Watkins, mate. Will Digne play next game week? He didn't start last 3 games. I'm not too sure. He's been available, but Rafa hasn't gone for him. I'm not too sure if he does start, to be honest. But either way, I'd sell Digne. If you have him, just sell him. How did he get on in the Fantasy Cup? Yeah, Francis, I won. Not by much, but I think I got 60 points, and my opponent got 43 with Cancelo coming on from the bench. Play Rudiger, Broja, or Dennis? Good question. I'd probably play Dennis out of those 3 or Rudiger. It's between those 2. I'm a bit conflicted about that, just like I am with Alonso versus Dennis. What about Son next week? I think he's a really good purchase. The thing is, obviously, just bear in mind he's not going to play against the high line every week. So, I don't think he will always look as threatening as he did today. But whenever he does play against the high line, it's just goals galore potentially. But yeah, I think he looks good up until game week 28, you could say. Dennis or Bowen to bench? I got a very good bench. Duffy, Broja, Bowen, Dennis. I would bench Dennis out of those 2. 47k. It's nothing special, to be honest, Ali, but I'm happy going there rather than having a red arrow back down. I've kind of struggled really to break up into the top 20, 30k and then push on further this season. I've kind of always stayed around the same rank, pretty much around maybe 40k all the way back down to 200k. I've mainly steered between 40 and 80k though. Just haven't been able to push on. Martinelli for Gallagher. Yeah, I think that's good. I still like Gallagher though. I don't mind holding him and then having him for the really good fixtures coming up. But there's some kind of mixed ones in there. So I think Martinelli's a good transfer in. But I don't expect double-digit hauls like he did against Leeds every time. Bear in mind, Leeds were pretty much down to 9 men. Well, not 9 men, but 9 senior players available. And that involved 2 goalkeepers. So they were pretty much down to the bare bones. And if they had everyone available, or at least most people, I think that Arsenal maybe would have struggled a little bit more. Yeah, Martinelli's bound to be benched again after Norwich. Going to do Martinelli to Gallagher for when he has Norwich at home the week after. Yeah, the thing is with Martinelli, if Smith Rowe gets back into the side, Martinelli could be the one making way. But it's very tough to tell Martinelli to go on the bench. I don't think he deserves it. He should be starting right now. But looking at historically, I don't think Arteta really trusts Martinelli that much, or at least he's been protecting him very, very much, which isn't ideal. Hey Dylan, Captain Marnie and didn't lose the Salah train. He finally blanked. What do you think about Gray and Foden in? The thing is, though, I wouldn't have Captain Mane, but he was really good today, and he deserves some points. He was fantastic. One of the best players, in my opinion, of the match. What do you think about Gray and Foden in? I still think Foden's a good transfer. Gray has some great fixtures, but I'm still not too sure about getting an Everton midfielder. Even Decore at 5.4, you can just go for Martinelli or someone else like Odegaard instead. But yeah, as for Gray, I probably wouldn't go there. Rudiger or Alonso, I already answered your question, Mohammed. Take a hit and do Walker for Cancelo and Gallagher for Douglas Luiz. Oh yeah, if you don't have Cancelo already, I think the hit will just pay off anyway. But the problem is going from Gallagher to Douglas Luiz, I'm not that sure, but you need it to do the upgrade. I personally would recommend having as much squad depth as possible. I'd rather have Gallagher than Douglas Luiz, especially, if you're down to maybe 9 or 10 men, you need someone to come off the bench. So I'd say no, find another way to do Walker to Cancelo, because that's definitely a good transfer. What about Tsimikas? Is he a good option for now? Well, yeah, look, Robertson is suspended, so Tsimikas will be good for the next few games. But the problem is, long term, he's just not going to be, a good option from the bench. So obviously, those who have recommended Tsimikas, he's very cheap. It's a very good shout. But really, with these transfers, you want to kind of look for the next 5 to 10 game weeks, because Tsimikas is a kind of short-term solution, in my opinion. Thanks, Dylan. Very unsure about Chelsea defensive double up right now. So am I. Even last week, I was lucky to have 8 points from James and 6 from Alonso, because Alonso got subbed off before Chelsea lost a clean sheet. So yeah, I'm not really feeling it either. I'm through to the next round of the cup. What do you get if you win? Noah, honestly, it's kind of just generic prizes, I think. I think it's similar to winning FPL. I'm not exactly sure, by the way, but I think you win like a PS5 or something. You win maybe a copy of FIFA 22. So even if the prizes, by the time you get them or whatever, FIFA 23 is out. I think you get FIFA 22, and I think you get some goodies and stuff, maybe some FPL merch. But yeah, I don't think the kind of gifts or the awards are really worth it. But obviously, if you get a PS5, that'd be really good. I'm actually not sure you get a PS5. I think that's more to do with Champions League, so I need to double check that. But basically, the rewards aren't great. Sterling to Son. Yeah, I do prefer Son. I think it's a good time to make that move. I think I'd do it. And also with Sterling, he could probably be sharing minutes with Foden. Sometimes Sterling will start, and other times it'll be Foden. Big at the back, ticking along nicely over the past couple of game weeks. Yeah, and just a few game weeks ago, it was, the premium defenders, they weren't doing it really, apart from maybe Trent and Cancelo. So things change, but ultimately, I think they offer good value. Yeah, Melvin, that's also a good point. You might be tripled up on Liverpool already, so definitely don't take a hit to get rid of Jota or whatever to then get Tsimikas in. And either way, obviously Van Dijk should be coming back soon, but Liverpool were very shaky today. And that's why Spurs were able to score twice and probably should have scored more. Rudiger or Diaz? Probably Diaz because of the fixtures right now. Son over Man City players because of rotation at City? Yes, I'd probably say so. I still like Foden and Bernardo a lot, but yeah, Son is looking good. But at the same time, he's not going to play against the High Line every week. What about Ronaldo for next game week? I mean, I think he should be available. He might have been one of the players with COVID. But yeah, I think he's a good option. I talked about him. I think he's one of the best forwards heading into game week 19. Chelsea Villa game is at risk for next week, potentially, and that's why we need good squad depth. And I'll be making transfers accordingly to kind of deal with these situations. And yeah, I agree. I think the Villa game, I talked about it earlier in the stream. I think Villa, they just got the COVID cases. That game could easily be called off. Yes, James, I believe it is worth it to do that move to Son. But Sterling is looking pretty good at the moment. Let's see. Alonso for Davis. I mean, that's not a bad move. That's not a bad move, to be honest. 1 second. Yeah. The thing is, obviously, you save a lot of money there, and I'd use the extra money to bolster your squad. Start Jesus or Watkins or Dennis. I'd probably start Jesus just in case, but yeah, Watkins will probably be last out of those three. Dennis or Jesus to start. Spurs look decent, though they have some rest. Yeah, they had plenty of rest. They've got like 3 or 4 games in hand on Arsenal. But yeah, they look decent. But at the same time, things could have changed. If Kane got sent off as well. How did the Robertson get a red card and Kane didn't? No idea, mate. They both should have got a red card ultimately. I do think Robertson's challenge was a bit more reckless because it was completely unnecessary. But Kane should have definitely been sent off as well. Which Everton striker would you go for? Sims or Rondon? Neither. Honestly, neither. Captain Foden and Vice Captain Trent, almost Captain Cancelo. Yeah, but that's not bad, mate. Vice Captaining Trent, he's going to be your captain now, so that's not that bad. Does Foden starting limit Silva's attacking threat? I don't think so necessarily. I just think with the new setup now, I think with De Bruyne coming back as well, Bernardo Silva can be a bit deeper, which is obviously a shame, but we haven't seen enough of that. And Bernardo still gets into some very good positions, so it's easy now to say that. but he was still looking threatening. But yeah, of course, you want the points, and if this continues, then Bernardo Silva could be a sell. Get Kane in? No, I still wouldn't get Kane in. I'd maybe just watch and wait. But yeah, I'd still prefer Ronaldo if possible, and yeah, I'd rather go for Son and Foden. Yeah. Do you think Chelsea defence double up is okay for the next few fixtures, or transfer out immediately? It's okay, but it's not ideal. I think the double up in City defence is the way to go if you do decide to double up. I don't think you need to. But yeah, with Chelsea, I think it's still fine. But in the coming weeks, I'd still look to get rid of one of them. And it'll probably be Alonso for me. Thank you, Crispy. Thank you very much for your kind words. Dylan, 60 points, green arrow, and feeling satisfied. Captain Laka, and I prayed Salah didn't score assist. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind too much if Salah, blanks or whatever. But, it doesn't really make too much difference with the rank if you do captain him, to be honest. But yeah, that's good. 60 points and a green arrow. You can't really ask for too much more. There's League Cup midweek, so that's one of Robertson's suspended games. That's true, KS. That's a very good point. But yeah, I mean, normally Robertson wouldn't play, but because he's suspended, he will play probably in the Carabao Cup. I captain Cancelo, or yeah, I almost thought it was the FA Cup. That's next month. I captain Cancelo, but Foden let me down. Yeah, well, you captain Cancelo, you got to enjoy that, and yeah, Foden let all of us down, really. I just brought him in just again, and yeah, not too surprised. Sharia asks what the starting 11 should be. Yeah, I mean, Sanchez in goal. I would go for Trent, Cancelo, and I'd still go for James. And looking at your midfield, yeah, Smith Rowe, Jota, Salah. I'd still start Bernardo Silva. So basically what we're looking at is 3 defenders, 4 midfielders. Yeah, then it gets a bit tricky, but yeah, no, I think I'd play 3-5-2. I'd play Bowen, I'd play Antonio, and I'd play Dennis. And I'd bench Watkins, Livramento, and Region first on your bench. Should I start Jesus, King, or Watkins? And who do you think my first choice sub should be? Yeah, I already answered this question, I believe. If not, similar to another one. I think I'd start Jesus or King. Watkins would be last, basically. So if I had to pick, I'd probably go for Jesus starting, King first on your bench, and Watkins after. Gents, I'm 800k, need to get to top 25k, help, need work to do. 1 free transfer, Sterling to Son, that looks good. But you could also consider maybe saving the other transfer and then having 2 heading into Game Week 20. Looking at your team, I think Rose is definitely a weakness, and you'd want to bolster your squad as much as possible. Your keepers are fine, you've got 2 good goalkeepers. Your defence is good as well. Your midfield is also decent, even though I'm not a huge fan of Odegaard and Lacazette, especially long term. But yeah, definitely looking at your bench, Rose is a weakness, and you'd want to look to maybe improve him as well. Take Watkins out for Ronaldo. I think if we get more information about Villa, if their game, it looks like it's not going to go ahead against Chelsea. And Chelsea also, they tried to get the game today to be postponed. Didn't happen. But yeah, there is a good chance that game doesn't go through. And I think that the Ronaldo move would make sense. But wait and see, because Ronaldo could also be unavailable. You never know. Liverpool were shaky because of the midfield. Generals are missing. Yeah, like Fabinho, even Thiago, who's been very good this season. But also at the same time, Liverpool always play this high line, but and also Van Dijk, of course, a big miss at the back. But they still could have struggled even with them, but they probably would have won the game anyway, and they could have won without them, regardless. Bench Diaz or Mbumo? I'd bench Mbumo, to be honest. I would start Diaz. Game Week 18, 65 points after -4. That's good, Michael. Start King or Diaz? I would start Diaz. Dyer to Davis. I don't really think it's worth making a move like that. Just stick with Dyer, really. There's not going to be much difference between them. Salah captaincy next week, I think there's no doubt this time. Salah at home to Leeds, it's a great fixture. Foden cost me 25k red arrow. He was captain as well. Yeah, at least, I mean, it depends who your vice captain is. If it's Salah, then it's not really that great. But if you vice captain someone like Trent, it's not too bad. I want to triple up on City players. Would you go for a defender or a midfielder? I think either's good, Mohamed. You could go for Cancelo for sure. He's the kind of undisputed one. So you could go for Cancelo and Foden and Bernardo. But I think right now the best way to go is Cancelo and Diaz and Foden as a triple up. And you could, if not, you could maybe go for Bernardo Silva instead. But that would be my triple up. Bernardo out. I would still keep him for now, but I am looking, to possibly get him out, especially with all the midfielders we have to choose from. 60 points. 60 points -4. Small green arrow, I'll take it. Yep, similar to me. Definitely, it's a good score, I think. Brought in Diaz, very happy. It's a good time to bring him in. He looks good. Martinelli in for Bernardo. I'm not that sure about that. I'd probably keep Bernardo. Would you do Bernardo Silva to Bone this week, or would you hold? I'd actually hold. He's done well against Leicester recently. I think he scored the winner the last time they faced, but I'd keep Bernardo Silva. Even though Bone looks good, you can still get him in. Thanks for your great content. Can we all hit the like? It's free and helps others to see the content. Thank you, Michael, for the shout out. Much appreciated. And as he says, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. If you haven't already, it's much appreciated, as you can see on screen. And we're trying to get to 9,000 subscribers. That's the next step. And then after that, it will be 10,000 and all of that. So let's wait and see. Obviously, take it one step at a time, but it'd be greatly appreciated. So if you haven't already and I've answered your questions, smash the like button and all of that good stuff. The link to the Discord and my Twitter and Instagram are all in the description below. So you can also find me on there. With Firmino back, I think Jota won't get the minutes. He won't get as many minutes as before, so he might come off earlier. He might even occasionally be on the bench, but I still think Jota will get a good amount of minutes, to be honest. 53 points with no hit this week. Name your top 3 best transfers for your squad, players you don't have. For my squad, that's a good question. So, look, if Villa is all, rosy or whatever, well, maybe it's not the right time to get them in, but I think Watkins for Lacazette is a move I'm looking at, but not necessarily for this week. So, avoiding him, I think ideally it would be probably Diaz in for Marcos Alonso. And then looking at the rest, I'd like actually to improve Livramento and Douglas Luiz. So, I think for this week specifically, it would be Douglas Luiz to Martinelli potentially. Livramento to... That's a bit of a difficult one. I would say Tierney, but I would maybe want someone else. Even Region perhaps. So I think those would be 2 good transfers for me. I think another way to improve is possibly doing Bernardo to Son. So that's kind of my thinking at the moment. But things are going to pan out differently to what I was planning before Game Week 18 happened. So I have to adapt and move accordingly. So the moves I had planned for maybe making in Game Week 18 or 19 is kind of maybe thrown out of the window. And I've got to find other ways to get the team I want ultimately. But squad depth is key now. I never really would have thought I'd have 8 attackers, but I do now. I have to bench one every week. But it's better than not having them at all because you might need them at some point. But I think really it's just a case of I think I'll probably look to hold if possible heading into Game Week 19 and then afterwards have 2 free transfers in Game Week 20. It's been working well for me when I've been able to make 2 free transfers. Let's see. Future plans, I think it's to hold, like I already said, and then I'll reassess and then try to prioritize the players I want to get rid of and the players I want to bring in. Try to make a list and try to then plan who I want to get in first. But ultimately, I think it's best if I hold because I've got a good team for Game Week 19. But the thing is, if postponements happen, then that's where I need to make a transfer, maybe even a hit, and that's where I change my mind. I have to adapt. But right now, it's the hold. I don't really... Anyone looking to make early transfers, don't do it. Who's more essential to have at the moment from Martinelli, Lacazette and Foden? None of them are essential, trust me. I still think Foden's the best one out of the 3. Then Martinelli will be second, Lacazette third. Play Lamptey or King? Good question. Let me double check Brighton's fixture, but I'd probably go for Lamptey actually. Against Brentford, I'd go for Lamptey. It's not a tough one. It's not an easy call, but I'd probably do that. Not thinking of any transfer and benching until the 26th. Yeah, similar to me, Frederick. I'm probably looking not to make any transfers. I have King and Dennis. Should I get Broja instead of one? It's not a bad idea. You could maybe get him in for King, but honestly, I don't think it's necessarily worth a move. You could maybe look to make other transfers elsewhere. Yeah, Premier League emergency meeting tomorrow to discuss postponing Game Week 20, according to The Athletic. Patrick, exactly. It could even be Game Week 19 itself. So, it could be a 2-week break, basically up until the end of the year, no football. Captain Cancelo this week, a lot of people doing that with 75 points, that's a very good score. King, Dennis, Rafinha, Watkins, start 2 of them. Oh, that's tough. Okay, I probably wouldn't start Watkins, and either way, I don't think that game goes ahead. So looking at Leeds, they do play Liverpool, but Rafinha could easily get a penalty like he always seems to do. I'd definitely start probably the Watford boys, so King and Dennis. And then after that, maybe it'd be Rafinha, then Watkins, but it's tough. I think it's tough between, ordering them But I think Dennis would definitely start out of them four. Dylan, I'm thinking Jota out for Gallagher and Firmino in for Laka. No, not for me. I don't think Firmino is even that good of an FPL asset. Most of his goals come away from home, and he doesn't score that often. I don't really like Lacazette either. But getting rid of him ahead of Norwich doesn't make sense. And yeah, Jota is still a really good choice. And yeah, he might get benched against Leeds, but at the same time, when he does start, he's in for big points. And even with a half an hour cameo, he could still do very well, like he did against Villa the other week. And I know he blanked, but he's still very threatening all the time. So I don't think it's worth it. Martinelli in for Brownhill. Yeah, I like it, but I wouldn't make an early transfer. I don't think it's worth it, because what if Arsenal versus Norwich is suspended, because Norwich have plenty of cases. Even Arsenal have some going around, like Pablo Mari and Lokonga. I don't really think it's worth an early transfer. I don't really care about team value. I don't think it should be at the forefront of your priorities. Diaz for Rudiger and Gabriel for Reece. No, not for me. Diaz for Rudiger, yes, but not Gabriel for Reece. And if you have to make both moves because of funding, then I probably would just not do it, because getting rid of Reece James and Rudiger, I don't think it's right. If Chelsea game is not postponed, who should I start, Alonso or Watkins? I'd start Alonso actually, but that's kind of a 50-50 one. Thinking of going Smith Rowe to Martinelli for the Norwich match, good move. I mean, I can see why you're doing it, because Smith Rowe is on the bench right now, and it's not sustainable for him to come off the bench every time and score. But I still prefer Smith Rowe in the long term. So maybe in the next few weeks, Martinelli's better, but I do see Smith Rowe breaking back into the team, whether it's for Odegaard or Martinelli himself. And yeah, I just don't really... Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it. How long would Robbo be suspended for? That's a good question. I think he's out for 2 games. I need to double check that, but yeah, I think it's 2 games. And also, I say 2 games, but that also includes the Carabao Cup, because that's all, FA competitions and all of that. So let me double check this for you. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So yeah, so that's kind of my cup opponent. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, in the end, he did get 43 points, didn't he? Yeah, he did. So yeah, live to fight another day, pretty much. So let's check Robertson, just to give you a concrete answer. Have they not updated this yet? Let's check. Yeah, they haven't updated it yet, but I believe he'll be back for the Leicester game, and if not, it'll be the Chelsea game. So yeah, if anyone does know in the live chat, let me know, but I believe that's how it is. Yeah, so he definitely will be missing the next game against Leeds. If he didn't, then obviously that'd be surprising, but yeah, that's what I believe. So what else do we have? Oh yeah, thank you very much for the effort, much appreciated, mate. I want to upgrade Gallagher or Rowe. Who should I sell between them? Thank you very much. That's tough, because as much as I probably prefer Gallagher, he's got some tough games coming up over the next 3 or 4. And then you look at Smith Rowe, he's got Norwich. So honestly, I probably would say Gallagher if you were to sell one right now. But at the same time, Smith Rowe might be benched against Norwich, which is quite likely at the moment. So it's really tough. But who do I prefer, really? Just to kind of simplify the answer, I prefer Gallagher over Smith Rowe. Have bonus points been added yet? I'll double check this for you, but I don't believe they have, but it should be within the next... Yeah, they have actually. There you go. There's your answer. Trent is now got 7 points. Yep, all of it is updated. So yeah, enjoy. Cancelo's got 18 points, and obviously those who captain him, that's a very good move. And yeah, that's how my team did in game week 18. Let's see. Son on your radar? Yep, he is, and especially with Bernardo Silva and Foden giving me so many headaches, I think Son is definitely on my radar. Should I hold Reece James or Rudiger? I think both are really good choices, but I'd probably hold Reece James at the end. Want to get in Diaz, don't have any City defenders. I'd look to get Cancelo over Diaz. I know he's more expensive, but just get Cancelo. Force and Bernardo playing deep, someone like Rafinha or even Gray might be better. I don't think Gray is necessarily better. I know he's got great fixtures, but Rafinha, yeah, you're right. I think he could be a better choice as well. He's another one I'm looking to bring back in, Rafinha. And to be honest, he hasn't really been that impressive in recent weeks, but he's been getting the penalties. And against Arsenal, he did have 3 shots inside the box. But yeah, I think Rafinha's a good one. Not too sure about Gray still. Force on DCL, he's someone I'm keeping my eye on when he returns. Same with Bamford, but I probably won't be, getting him in straight away. I have Masuaku, Reguilon, Trent, Cancelo, and White. Do you think someone like Semedo or Tierney should be better? Or maybe Tsimikas? Tsimikas is a good option for the next few weeks, but that's not a long-term solution. And especially with everything that's happening, you need a good squad depth. I probably wouldn't go there, and I'd rather triple up with Jota, Salah, and Trent. So yeah, Tierney's a good one. I'd probably look to maybe get him in for Ben White, for example. and you can keep the rest. Maybe Masuaku, I'm not too sure about, but he's still decent when he does play. Just a bit injury prone, bit similar to Tierney though, to be fair. Broja or Pukki? I'd probably go for Broja out of those two. Would you move for Spurs defender this game week if you don't have double Chelsea defence? Maybe Reguilon, but I wouldn't really be that fond of getting anyone else. Davis and Dyer are also good choices, but Reguilon would be the main one, and I would consider him, yeah. Dennis, Watkins or Broja, which one should I start if all games go ahead? Definitely not Watkins, in my opinion. He can still do well against Chelsea, and to be fair, Chelsea have been shaky, so maybe you should reconsider that, and maybe I should, but I'd probably go for Dennis, yeah. Let me just double check Southampton's fixture just to make completely sure, but yeah, I'd go for Dennis, I think. I think maybe Broja would be third on my bench, but I don't know. He's been good whenever he does play, that's the thing. It's really tight, I can see why you're asking that question, but I'd probably go for Dennis. Let's see. Rafinha and Everton assets can still be good in the future. Yeah, they definitely can. And I'm keeping my eye on Calvert-Lewin. Rafinha is still a good asset, regardless of his performance has not really been up to par. But yeah, been on a roll. Captain Cancelo, and he delivered now. 87 points, top 30 right now. Should I reshuffle my team to get Ronaldo back as soon as possible, or I wait? That's fantastic, man. Top 30. Fair play, mate. And I personally believe, obviously, just it's up to you what you do, and you're making great decisions anyway. I probably wouldn't reshuffle your team to get Ronaldo. I think it's really important to have good squad depth, and you're doing really well now, so why change everything? Obviously, you want to be proactive and identify those players who can gain you even more rank, but I don't really see a need anyway to get Ronaldo. Jota or Son, Rudiger or James? I like both sets of players. All of them are good, but if I had to pick, I'd still go for Jota over Son. I think he's better value, and I'd go for Reece James. Hey Dylan, hope you're doing great. Who to start from these? Watkins, King, Duffy. It's between King and Duffy, and I'd probably go for King. But yeah, Duffy's also good this week, to be fair. I mean, I'm not too sure about that one. It's very 50-50 with King and Duffy. Bench Reguilon or one of James or Alonso? I'd probably bench Alonso, but it can easily backfire, Ivan. 158 watching, only 42 likes. Come on, guys, hit the like button. This is free tips. Thank you very much, Orang. Much appreciated. I have Trent, Salah, and Jota. Is it worth to bring Tsimikas in at lower value to accommodate others? If yes, who should I replace? I don't think it's worth it because it's only going to really last you a week or two. I don't think it's worth it. Bench Dyer or King next week? I'd probably bench King. Gameweek 19 wildcard, good move. I would look to, that's your first wildcard, isn't it? The second wildcard comes into play in Gameweek 20. So if you do have your first one, be sure to use it before Gameweek 20. Yeah, I think if you're kind of happy for the next, at least for, I keep saying that, we're pretty much approaching Gameweek 20. Things are going so quickly. Yeah, I think it's a good time to use it. If not, you're going to kind of absorb that first wildcard, even if it's just to make a few transfers. So be it. Yeah, I'd probably use it. 81 points with -4, 9 players. Cancelo, captain, and Martinelli. That's a really good combination. Martinelli's looking fantastic, but I don't expect it to continue long term. But against Norwich, it should be a good performance as well. Bench Dennis or Watkins? I'd bench Watkins. Saka or hold, or do you think he's not a great FPL asset? He's been doing well, and he's looking very impressive. And when he gets the FPL points, that helps a lot as well. But yeah, I definitely hold against Norwich. After that, that's when I'd look to sell potentially. Lacazette or Dennis? Only want to play one forward. I'd play Lacazette, to be honest, even though I'm not a big fan of him. What transfers would you make to get ahead of the curve? That's a good question. I'm not sure who you have or don't have already, but I think if you're looking for a budget midfielder, so for example you have Douglas Luiz, I think getting Martinelli in is a nice move. I don't expect him to do that well when he faces City and all that, but against Norwich he could be great. Obviously, if you did it a week earlier, then it'd be even better. But I'll be honest, I just didn't expect Martinelli to be that good of an FPL asset in recent times. I don't expect it to continue, but still, at that price, you can't complain too much. Up front, I still think Watkins when he's available, but I'm not too sure if the game at the weekend goes ahead. Then it gets a bit tricky. If you don't have triple Liverpool, you could go for a Tsimikas for a few weeks, but I don't really think it's worth it. You want to get long-term moves in. Jarrod Bowen is still fantastic. I'd look to bring him in. Heung-min Son, I think he could be the main big hitter that can get you ahead, and he's looking very threatening. I don't expect him to be that threatening in every game because he's not going to play against the high line all the time, but I'd probably say Heung-min Son is the main one. And yeah, maybe a Ruben Dias and Cancelo double up if you don't have them already. I had them maybe, 6 game weeks ago. Decided to go off it. Put Kane. Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to do that, to be honest, and it involves probably a hit. I think I'll quit. No. Obviously, it's up to you what you do. FPL is just for fun, but I would just play along and just enjoy. Even if you're doing badly or whatever, something goes wrong which is outside your control, just laugh it off. Vivan, yeah, I also have King and Cash on the bench. Yeah, it's a good team. I'd just be a bit concerned about the Villa game going ahead, so Watkins could be a concern, same with Cash, but the rest looks good. Obviously, the same would apply to James and Alonso because they are playing Villa. But yeah, maybe look to improve your third bench player. I'm not sure who that is. You only said King and Cash is on the bench. So yeah, improve your third bench player, I think, Vivan. That would be the main thing. And you could still look to go away from double Chelsea defence. Not going to really change my mind because of 2 clean sheet points in a row for Alonso. I still think I'm not that sure about having him and James at the same time. Watkins, Antonio and King, my front 3. Any changes you reckon? It's a good question. I think if the Villa game is suspended, then you could look to get rid of him for maybe Jimenez or Lacazette. But yeah, I wouldn't be too keen on getting Lacazette now anyway, with the games coming up after Norwich. But yeah, if that is fine. I'd like to keep Watkins in your case and still Antonio potentially. But yeah, I think this is a good front 3. I prefer Dennis over King, but I'm not sure if that warrants a sideways move there. Saka or Son? Still Son for me. Rafinha or Bowen? That's tough. That is actually tough. That is actually really tough. It's 50-50. I think up until the end of the season, I do prefer Rafinha, and he's on penalties right now. That won't obviously stay the same when Bamford's back. Bench King or over Dyer because of the COVID outbreak at Watford? I just start Dyer anyway, Aranya, like I said already. Jota or Son for Rafinha? Who do you think? I still prefer Jota over Son. I have only 2 points more than you, and on 5k rank ahead, it's so tight. Yeah, it is very tight, and still half a season left to go, so I'm not really too bothered, but I would obviously ideally want to push up because I've always been around this rank, and I want to see more progress. Let's see. Alonso to Lamptey, Livramento to Nuri, Bernardo to Gray, Lacazette to Ronaldo in the following weeks. What do you think? I think that looks solid. You might have to adapt your plans because things can change easily and a certain game gets postponed and you can't get that player in. But right now, it looks good. I'm still not that sure about... Well, just voice crack. I'm still not that sure about Gray, but the other transfers look very good, especially Lacazette to Ronaldo. But another thing you could consider is doing Lacazette to Watkins or someone else, a cheaper striker like Dennis, and then spreading the money around. Is it too late to go Rafinha to Bowen? Held Rafinha this long? I'd probably just hold him at this point, yeah. Foden or Bernardo, who to sell? I'd still keep them for now, but if I had to sell one, I'd probably go for Bernardo. I still think he's more nailed than Foden, but I still slightly prefer the Englishman. Sterling to Son? Yeah, I think Sterling's a good differential, but I would rather have Son. It's not much in it. It's kind of a 50-50 right now. I mean, normally I'd definitely prefer Son. It's a bit closer now. Bench Broja or Watkins? That's tough. I'd actually consider benching Broja out of those two. One differential pick for each position, defense, midfield, and attack. I need to check the ownership figures just to give you a reliable answer there. So let's check now. We'll check it sorted by, selected by. So yeah. All right, so let's check this. So as a defender, okay. I think in defense, yeah, I'd maybe look for Diego Dallo if that game goes ahead. Tariq Lamptey looks very good against Brentford. I'd also consider maybe Davis as a differential. We're talking about differentials here. Yeah, so I'd probably look at those sorts of players. Is there anyone else really? Yeah, there's not too many else. I mean, if anyone has any ideas, let me know. But yeah, I think those are fine. Now we're looking at the midfielders and maybe a bit similar. So as for differentials, okay. So I think Gundogan. Gundogan's a good differential. I'm just not too sure about him because I think he'll occasionally be benched, but he has a good differential regardless. Yeah. There's not too many here. I mean, De Bruyne, but I don't think he's worth the money. Martinelli for sure. I think Martinelli's a very good differential. And Sterling is still a really good choice. You just have to stomach the benchings. I don't think he's worth the price because of that. But, you know, you're talking about differentials. He's very good. Same with Mahrez when he starts, but that's the problem with Mahrez. He's even worse in terms of, you know, when he actually does play. So, yeah, I'd be looking at those. Yeah, those sorts of options in midfield. And in attack... so let's see this. Yeah. I think Jimenez could be a nice differential. 5.8% ownership. That's pretty good. Callum Wilson against United isn't actually that bad, to be fair. I think he's pretty decent. But yeah, I'd mainly be looking at Jimenez. Keep an eye on Calvert-Lewin when he comes back. He could be a very nice differential in the weeks to come. But yeah, I think that's what I'd go for. Yeah, and the rest is kind of meh, to be honest. But... yeah, I'd probably go for those. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So yeah, if anyone else has any more, let me know. But yeah, I don't think it's worth just throwing every single name around in the sun. So let's go through these next few questions. So 7:51, yeah, so we've been going on for just over an hour. Time has gone by quite quickly. Is next week a double game week? No, it's not a double game week. KB with a rage. Lost to a guy who captained Smith Rowe. Like, who the hell does that? Yeah, I mean, the cup is a lot down to luck. FPL is down to luck, ultimately. There's a lot of luck involved, but yeah, and the cup is even worse. Is it good to buy a decent sub-keeper? Yes, I think so. I talked about this before Game Week 18, and I still think the same thing. I think having 2 goalkeepers is worth it. Because I have other areas to address, I'm not looking to do that myself, but I think it is worth upgrading. Let's see, what else have we missed? Brownhill replacements, 5.6 million in the bank. Martinelli for sure. Bernardo playing defensive. Yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't when I didn't have him. But he's still getting into some good positions, but it is a bit frustrating. Mount or Foden or Smith Rowe? Still Foden for me, but if it wasn't for the fixtures and the blanks, Mount would possibly be top. But yeah, for me, it's Foden first, Mount second, Smith Rowe third. They're all great though. And also, if you look at value, arguably Smith Rowe is the best of the lot, but Foden is the best for me. Gray, a good option going forward? Yes, he's decent, but I don't trust Everton. And yeah, I'd probably look elsewhere, but he is a decent one. Would you rather get Son and it would have to be Foden to make way, or get Ronaldo and Watkins make way? I'd rather make Ronaldo make way. I'm not sure about Watkins, but yeah, I mean, Foden isn't going to play as many minutes as Son this season, and Son will probably get more points. So I think it is worth just getting rid of Foden and making it a bit simpler, but I don't think you need Ronaldo. Dennis is a must. Not a must, but I think he's the best forward in the game at the moment. Meeting tomorrow, Boxing Day fixtures could be cancelled yet. Tuchel was furious today. Chelsea were forced to play. Yeah, I don't really think the games will go on. So if that's the case and there's no Game Week 19, then there'll probably be no videos here. I mean, I don't mind a stream or whatever to discuss what's happened. But yeah, obviously I'm going to wait for that news and then plan accordingly. But yeah, it's very likely that the games could be called off for the rest of the year. Bernardo or Mount out for Jota? Good question. I would still keep Mount and Bernardo for this fixture, but it's very difficult for me to answer because if I'm looking at it right now objectively, I think I'd get rid of Bernardo out right now, but I think he can do well against Leicester. And then you also look at the fact that Villa versus Chelsea could be called off if all the games go ahead, or most of them, but Chelsea, they're one of the likely ones to not have their game go ahead. So that's why it's difficult for me to say, keep Mount and get rid of Bernardo instead. Honestly, wait until the deadline. We'll have more information and then make a final decision. But assuming both of them, will play, I'd actually rather get rid of Bernardo. Joined FPL this season and around 1.2 million. I think you could do even better, to be fair. But that's still a decent starting point, Yeah, I was in a similar position, when I first started, first half of the season. I started, actually playing consistently, making transfers, being proactive, stop taking hits, when I actually did make transfers, and I skyrocketed up. So, yeah, I think you could definitely even improve on that. Jacob Ramsey from Villa at 4.5. If you're looking for a bench fodder option, I think he's probably the best one. Same with Douglas Luiz and Gilmore. But I'd actually rather go, just pretty much stack your bench as much as possible. So having a Martinelli in there, even an Odegaard, a Smith Rowe. But yeah, he is probably the best at 4.5. Thank you very much to... Let me get the question up again. Let's see. Yeah, thank you, Medigun. Thank you very much. So are the games due to go on as normal? Ethan, as things stand, yes, but there's going to be a meeting tomorrow, and I'm not too sure if that's going to remain the case. I think they could stop them. Calvert-Lewin is coming soon. Yep, that's another one to consider. I think he could look very good. Thoughts on Gelhardt? Once again, kind of similar to Jacob Ramsey. If you're looking for a 4.5 million, he could be a really nice option, but I don't really expect him to remain in the team when Bamford is back. And also, I'd just rather have, Dennis, Watkins, and a few others like Antonio as your front line. I wouldn't be that, optimistic having Gelhardt come off the bench. But, so long as he does start, he's a decent one. And at 4.5 million, someone who starts every game at the moment, you can't ask for much more. I captained Sterling this week, but also got Foden, probably moving Sterling to Son this week. Yeah, I'd probably do the same thing, and that's a nice captaincy. Obviously, a nice little advantage over Salah captainers. Dallo or Cash for Alonso? Good question, mate. That's tough. I think I would go for Dallo, but it's a bit 50-50. Arsenal defenders against Norwich or midfielder? And if midfielder, which one? It's tough because, normally I prefer Smith Rowe the most, but right now he's not starting. I'd probably go for the attackers, and I'd target Saka right now. I think Saka, he's going to start for sure, and he's looking very dangerous, very good performances. He got man of the match the other day. I think Saka and Martinelli, that's what I'd be looking at. Emerson Royale, a good punt over Reguilon. Reguilon's just come back from an injury, that's why he didn't start. But I think when Reguilon is available, I'd still rather have him over Emerson. Also, more ability to get bonus points, assists, and all of that. So I wouldn't go for Emerson over him. Antonio versus Watkins. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, I said Antonio, but heading into Game Week 18, I preferred Watkins. And now it's tough because I think Villa could actually have their game cancelled because Chelsea have a lot of cases, and also Villa themselves. So I think Antonio and West Ham are more likely for their game to go ahead, and they've got great fixtures. So I'd probably go for Antonio right now, but it's very 50-50. If it wasn't for all those circumstances, I think Watkins right now is the better asset. How bad do you feel for Leeds fans, like their Christmas? Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's not like I feel really bad, but you have to say they have a lot of cases, a lot of, not cases, they have a lot of illnesses, and I don't think they're COVID related, a lot of injuries. And I think they only had 9 players available heading into the Arsenal game, including 2 goalkeepers. So they're very unlucky. But even with all those players available, they probably would have lost all these games anyway. I think they were very unlucky against Chelsea, actually. But against Arsenal and City, they were, completely outplayed. But it's, it's always going to be the case with everyone who's unavailable. I think Bielsa is a bit stubborn as well. But, he is a really good manager. But at the same time, he's very stubborn and set in his ways. Who do you think is more likely to score on Boxing Day, Mount or Foden? That's a good question. I think if both games go ahead, I'd say Mount, actually. Let's see. Jota versus Foden have both, but if one were to make way, I'd rather keep Jota, honestly. Foden might outscore him over the next 3, but I just prefer Jota over the next month, so I'd keep Jota. First season this year and got into the top 100k this game week, loving FPL so far. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to burst your bubble, but there will be times where you might think the opposite, and I know a lot of people feel that way. But yeah, obviously, just enjoy it. That's the main thing with FPL. Just enjoy it, and even if you do well or you do badly, try to learn from anything you've done wrong. But ultimately, a lot of it is down to luck. Rudiger to Cancelo, Game Week 19. Yep, I mean, I'd definitely get Cancelo in if you don't have him already. Thoughts on the Spurs-Liverpool game today? I think it's probably the best game of the season. If not, it's up there. And Kane should have been sent off. He should have scored probably a hat-trick himself. And I think Spurs had the better chances. And the way Liverpool played, with Van Dijk also injured, or not injured, sorry, he had COVID. Fabinho also being out with a suspected COVID test, positive COVID test. They were just really susceptible on the counter-attack. I think Spurs looked the more dangerous, but ultimately Liverpool are the much better team. And they did kind of dominate the game after they got their first goal, but bit strange how Kane didn't get sent off. Hi there, I got 68 points with only 8 players, 7 played as Gundogan didn't play. That's fantastic. 68 points with only 7 is good. Rudiger to Reguilon. I'm not too sure about that. I'd rather just keep Rudiger, at least right now. Who would you bench between Rafinha versus Liverpool, Marcel, who surprisingly starts now, versus Watford, or King versus Dennis? That's tough, mate. I probably would go for Marcel, if not Dennis. That's why I would go. I know that sounds a bit weird, but I think I'd back them the most to do something. So if Wolves don't keep a clean sheet, I can see Dennis doing very well. But it can always backfire, whoever you bench from King or Dennis. Should I keep Gallagher or swap to Martinelli? I think Martinelli will outperform him this week, but I'd still keep Gallagher. I think he's a better option long term. Would you bench Rudiger, King, or Tony? I'd probably look to bench King, if not Rudiger, Carls. And if I had to pick one, I'd probably bench King. 70 points for me and a good green arrow. Didn't really expect this to be a great game week. Yeah, all things considered, 70 is normally not really considered a great score, but this game week I think so. Are you keeping Laka long term? No, I'm not. And who to replace him with? Probably Watkins. The initial idea was to get Ronaldo, but I don't think it's worth it. Thanks for the advice, mate. Thank you, Ahmad. Livramento 2. I mean, it could be Tierney, Soufal, Region. It depends what your budget is. Around Livramento's price, you'd probably be looking at 8 Nuri when he's available. He's still got an injury, but shouldn't be out for too long. But yeah, I'd look at those sorts of options. Even maybe Davis or Dyer, potentially. I know many people are going for Dallo. Oh yeah, Dallo's also another one, as this guy says, Taman. Going for Dallo since he's cheaper, but thinking about Telles. Yeah, I mean, Telles might have a bit more of a higher ceiling, but I don't think it's a huge difference. But you make a good point there. When Telles does start, he is on sunset pieces and he's got good delivery. So I think that's a decent choice. And it's also more of a differential. We've said that word a lot today, but yeah. Hey Dylan, start Tony or Dennis? Now that's tough. I think because of the fixture, I'd maybe go for Tony, but I just prefer Dennis in most cases. FPL aside, who do you support in the Prem? I support Arsenal. Antonio hat-tricks are coming. Keep holding on. I don't know about a hat-trick, but I think he will do well against Southampton if it goes ahead. Livramento to Dallo, Tierney, Wolves defender. Right now, I would prefer Tierney. But if you already have Ramsdale, just go for Dallo, I think. But all of them good. Yeah, already answered that question, Carls. If FPL Premier League is stopped, would you do some streams around F1? Well, F1 is finished, to be honest, so there wouldn't be. And boxing, I just watch from time to time, but nothing serious. It's not one of my favourite sports, so yeah, probably no streams about that. There could maybe be a gaming stream or something like that, just to, fill the void, but yeah, probably not. And there could be a UCL fantasy video, talking about my first draft. But yeah, in terms of FPL, there still might be a bit of content around it, but maybe not what we usually have. And but yeah, it wouldn't be the kind of typical content, I think, for the most part. Start De Gea or Ramsdale? Ramsdale. I ended up with Smith Rowe captain because Foden didn't play. So happy I didn't go for Salah. Yeah, I'm surprised you went for Foden and Smith Rowe over Salah, but because of the fixture, it does make sense. Smith Rowe, once again, coming off the bench and scoring. And, I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan. I was happy with the goal, but at the same time, that was a bit of a rank drop for me. I got 75 with a full 11. Yeah, I mean, a full 11 this week is an achievement in itself, and over 70 points is also good. 74 points with 9 players. Yeah, a lot of people with similar scores. And looking very good, especially those who captain Cancelo or brought in Martinelli. And if you have both, you're probably you're looking at 80 plus points. Hi, just tuned in. Any scoop about Boxing Day? The pigeon didn't hit Florida with news yet. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a meeting tomorrow, and the Premier League clubs are going to meet with the board, and it's not looking good. I think that there could be a break. So Game Week 19 and potentially 20, they could all be off. I wouldn't be surprised by that. That's what I am kind of thinking. And after the postponement yesterday from Villa and Burnley, that's kind of the first thing I thought. They're definitely gonna halt things now. I'm in Rafinha dreamland. 3 penalties with horrible fixtures, and now no Van Dijk. Liverpool, you never know. Yeah, I think he could do all right against Liverpool, and that's the thing with Rafinha or any penalty takers. It's a big bonus to be on penalties because they could have a stinker and get you points anyway. So yeah, Rafinha's done very well despite a lot of people selling him. Thank you very much, John. Much appreciated. Sterling to Son, and can you recommend me a good 6 million striker other than Dennis since I have him already? I mean, you could consider King or Brozier. I'm not really a big fan of the other strikers. So yeah, you're mainly looking above 6 million if you want someone good like a Watkins, but his game might not even go ahead. So it's between Brozier and Dennis. Well, you already got Dennis, so King. Dennis for me is probably the best striker in the game right now. Is it fair to be allowed teams formed in Game Week 15 in the Cup? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily fair. I've been kicked out actually, before the cup has even started because I've actually, I do really well throughout the whole season up until the actual game week where the qualifying starts. And, I think last year, for example, I had Spurs versus Fulham called off. It was postponed because of COVID. So I was literally down to 9 or 8 men in that game week. It was really poor. And then I'm losing, and I couldn't qualify in the cup. Or it's not like I lost. It's actually I got such a low score. I actually wasn't high enough to get into the cup. So, and once again this season, I'm not sure which game week it was exactly. I think it was 15, like you said. It was also pretty bad for me. I was lucky to qualify because they've increased the threshold. So I think the top 8 million managers qualify now. If it was like before, I wouldn't have qualified again. So I've got kind of bad luck when it comes to the qualifying rounds of the cup. 63 with 9 players, happy with the score. Yeah, that's good. Around 50k now, not making transfers until the deadline this game week. Yeah, definitely. From now on, I'm just waiting for as long as possible. It doesn't matter if there's going to be a lot of price rises, I'll just wait. Keep Bernardo. I'd probably keep him, but in the coming weeks, if this continues and he continues to, be deployed in a deeper position, then yeah, it is looking like a sell. But right now, I'd keep. Smith Rowe, 2 goals and an assist. I'm not sure if he'll do that this week, especially from the bench, but yeah, if he's benched again, I don't really see him once again scoring. And if he does, then yeah, against City, surely that will stop. Thinking of bringing Martinelli if the Premier League continues. Yeah, I think if you have a 4.5 million bench fodder option in midfield, a move to Martinelli makes sense. Start White or Dennis. I would probably start White, actually. As an Arsenal fan, who do you think is most likely to be dropped for Smith Rowe, Martinelli or Odegaard? And that's literally the 2 I was going to say. I don't think Saka would. Or Lacazette. Yeah, that's a good question. Probably Odegaard, but the thing is, if you look at it from a positional point of view, Smith Rowe tends to play on the left, so that would mean Saka then gets shifted to the right, and Martinelli would then make way. Odegaard stays in the middle. When Aubameyang was in the team, he was playing up front. Lacazette now started to come in just behind him as the attacking midfielder, and Smith Rowe played on the left. But ultimately, I think it would probably be Odegaard. But if you look at it positionally, maybe that contradicts what I just said. So it's a bit of a difficult one. Your biggest regret this season so far in terms of transfers? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure because, right now I'd look and say maybe Diaz, but then again, I got Chilwell in. He did very well for me for a few weeks. And Alonso's been not too bad, at least in the last 2 game weeks or so. So I'm not too sure. It's not maybe necessarily about the transfers I have made. It's about the transfers I haven't made. So I think not getting Dennis in earlier was something that I've been a bit... Yeah, I think that's one. Yeah, also maybe what I would say actually is not getting Reece James or Chilwell early enough. So that's kind of my transfer regret this season. And I ended up going for Rudiger and the other ones like Azpilicueta instead. I was looking at who's the most nailed, and things changed completely a few weeks into the season. So I definitely would say not getting Chilwell or James in around game week 7 or 8 when they started, their amazing run. If I had them from that stage onwards, maybe I'd be in a much better position right now. But, yeah, that's probably what I'd say. Although fans might not like it, it would probably be better to play games without supporters. Not sure how this season will pan out. Yeah, that is also another scenario. But looking at the meeting tomorrow, I think the most likely outcome is that the games get postponed anyway, indefinitely. It's not really fair, like some managers have said, like Eddie Howe, that certain games are postponed. Certain clubs are allowed to, basically have a free ride. But then other clubs who are severely depleted, they're not able to really field a good 11 and they have to play their game anyway. Should I keep Gundogan? I think I'd look to sell him, but you don't have to necessarily this week. So if you have 2 free transfers, then yes, I'd look to sell him. But if not, you can maybe just hold the free transfer you have, then have 2 free transfers heading into Game Week 20. Play Watkins, Gallagher or King? I would probably play King. But yeah, let me just double check Palace. Gallagher can do well against Spurs. He has done it already, but I'd probably play the fixture and go for King. I'm not too sure about that one, though. I'm not a big fan of all of them. This week, anyway. Is Gallagher a move to Martinelli? I'd honestly rather keep Gallagher. Martinelli's a good move for this week, but I'm not sure if he would be afterwards. Would you consider Mahrez over Foden? No. Mahrez is not nailed. I know Foden isn't nailed either, but I think Foden will get more minutes, and whenever people get Mahrez in after a good performance, he just gets benched the next game. It's just typical. So for me personally, I'm not looking at him. I got 62 points with 7 playing players. That's good. Captain Cancelo paid off well. Yep, definitely. And that's a big, difference. If you hadn't have captained him, you're probably looking at 40 points or something. Start Watkins or Dennis. Dennis for me. I captain Cancelo, got 36 points. That's obviously pretty much maybe half your score or almost half your score, so that's good. Odegaard could drop back to centre mid and Smith replace Cam instead of Xhaka. I mean, I don't see that happening. Xhaka is integral to the side, and I don't see Partey making way either. If Xhaka wasn't available, then yes, you make a really good point, but I don't see that happening. I think I don't really see Arteta changing things, and I think that's the first time since, 2016 that Arsenal have played the exact same 11 4 games in a row in the Premier League, something like that. I don't really see Odegaard dropping deeper. It's either he's going to go on the bench or stay as the attacking midfielder. Should I keep Bowen? Yes, I would keep him. I think if the game goes ahead against Southampton, I think he looks really good there to do well. So let's actually check the price rises since people are interested in those. But what I would say actually is, do not get your hopes up. Or get your hopes up. I mean, that's another thing, but just do not make early transfers. That's the thing you have to do. I don't think it's worth it making these early transfers. Just wait for as much information as possible, then make them. I know some people have done it already. They've already pulled the trigger. I don't recommend that. But as you can see, Lacazette, it looks like he's going to go up in price. But yeah, I was reluctant getting him in. I'm still reluctant about him. I mean, I just don't really see him being that good of an FPL asset. I think he's very important to Arsenal and the way they play. Arsenal play a lot better with him, but I just don't really like him that much as an FPL asset. But we didn't have too many options to choose from in Game Week 18. Ramsey is another one from Aston Villa, so he's going to go up to 4.6 million. Cody, Odegaard, Ramsdale, Dyer, they're all quite close, but not yet to rising. Then you can see more of the popular names like Cash as well. But yeah, Ramsdale's going to be kind of the new Martinez from this season. I think Ramsdale is probably the best keeper, but if you don't have him already, it's a bit difficult now probably to get him in. And as you can see, other players, Reece James as well. Let's actually check those who are looking to go down in price. So Van Dijk's one, to kind of highlight the main names, Stones and Lukaku. Yeah, Stones has been probably one of the biggest disappointments, especially in defence, because he did so well last season and it's just not looking that good this time round. And other than that, it's not really anyone else of FPL interest. That's close to going down in price right now, according to FPL statistics. Martinez potentially going down in price, and he's got some good fixtures after Chelsea. But that game is probably not going to go ahead regardless. But there you go. That's kind of the transfer updates. It's looking pretty uneventful actually, and I think that's also a product of so many postponements, so much uncertainty. So people are deciding not to actually make early transfers and save it until the deadline pretty much, and having as much information as possible. So that's pretty much how it's looking. And that's pretty much it. Now we'll go back to my team. And I mean, nothing special to be honest. 60 points, pretty average maybe in the grand scheme of things. A small green arrow. But yeah, better than nothing. Better than a red arrow. Alright, so let's get through these final questions. We'll probably wrap up a bit earlier than usual. And let's see this. So, 42 points behind first in Mini League. Do I still have a chance? Yes, you do. 42 points at the halfway stage is nothing. I've seen 80-point gaps, 90 points, even 100 by this stage of the season be overturned. So, yeah, I don't think it's too late. You have a chance, and he has played the free hit though. Yes, exactly. So you still got the free hit potentially. That could be of huge benefit. Either way, the chips they're a bit kind of over exaggerated sometimes, the importance of them, but they can be a nice bonus. You can be strategic with them, but ultimately, 42 points is nothing. Forcing Bernardo Silva to Rafinha next week. I think that's a decent move, but I'd still maybe possibly keep Bernardo Silva for Game Week 20 also. But that's a good move on paper. I have mixed feelings from this game week. Captain Cancelo, but I transferred in Watkins and then Foden for a -4. Yeah, that's bad luck to be honest. That's really bad luck with the transfers. But captaining Cancelo, very good move. And I think I've got mixed feelings as well about it. I think if I had captain Cancelo or brought in Martinelli, I'd be feeling much better, I guess. But Yes, not the worst week, I guess. It could have been worse, all things considered. Is replacing Livramento to Dyer a good move to upgrade your bench? I think so. I'll be honest, Dyer's not my favourite option, but it is improving your team. Start Dennis or Bowen? I'd start Bowen. Sell Bernardo for Son? Yeah, I think if you can afford it, then I would. But I'm still a bit patient with Bernardo. I'd want to give him a bit more of a chance still. Should I upgrade Livramento to a better backup defender or save the free transfer? I think if you've got a good squad this week, I'd actually save the transfer, but ultimately I'd look to upgrade him. Whether it's this week or next week, it doesn't matter, but I'd look to save the transfer, actually, Tarquin. That's what I would do. So, yeah, I'll be talking about this in my team selection video if the Premier League does go ahead in Game Week 19, and I'll be talking about, the captaincy and all of that, but right now I think it's quite simple. Salah will be the captain. Foden vice-captain, I might change that to Cancelo, maybe even Mikel Antonio. Dennis or Alonso, that's the main conundrum I have in terms of who to start, because if Villa versus Chelsea goes ahead, I think Villa could score, and I already have Reece James anyway. The thing is, though, also Wolves against Watford, that could also be a bit of a tricky game for both sides, and Wolves are pretty decent defensively. They've been very good, even against the likes of Chelsea, City and Liverpool, so that's going to be a bit difficult. And in the coming weeks, I think it will be very important to upgrade on Livramento, Douglas Luiz, get rid of Lacazette probably. He was only kind of a solution to the Game Week 18 conundrum. I think Bernardo Silva or Foden, I'd probably want to move away from Triple City and start to change things up again. But, 1 week, you can be completely happy with your squad, and then another, you look at it and you think, well, I would actually want to change this player, this player, this player. So if you do have your wild card, your first wild card available, remember to play it, because it gets absorbed in Game Week 20, and you don't want to be using your second wildcard in Game Week 20, because it'd be very good if you could use it strategically with chips, or if not, just to plan certain stages of the season, probably looking around February, March if possible. So yeah, just if you have your first wildcard, use it now, even if it's just to make a few transfers and to avoid hits. You might as well use it. Some people, they sometimes maybe forget about that. Let's see. So, force on triple captain Salah against Leeds. Leeds is a fantastic fixture right now, and I've always said, I'm planning to triple captain Salah in a double game week or when he has a really enticing fixture. I think it's a good opportunity, but I probably wouldn't. I think there's going to be better games. That's what I think personally. But if you really back him for this, and I don't blame you, then I think you could go for it. But I probably won't be going there myself. Start Bernardo or Tony? I'd start Bernardo. Good to hear that. See you soon. Thank you, Sevenis. Much appreciated. Hopefully I said that right. Is there another wildcard after Game Week 20? You get two wildcards. So one from Game Week 1 to 19. Then you get a second one from Game Week 20 onwards. The problem is, you don't want to be using your second wildcard that early after getting it. You want to be using it a bit later on if possible. So yeah, it's very important to, the timing of the wildcard, because even if you use it too late, you actually want to benefit from it. You want it to be a long-term solution, not just something that fixes your team for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 5 to 10 weeks. That would be the ideal thing. So yeah, it's very important, the wildcards, and they could actually be a big, part of your success. So that's probably the chip that's not overrated. But you look at the bench boost, the free hit, even triple captain, you're not really looking at that many points in most cases, unless you get lucky and you make some good planning and good decisions as well. But a lot of it is down to luck. And yeah, I wouldn't really be too bothered by that. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who's been tuning in. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. It's all much appreciated. We're trying to get to 9,000 subscribers, so yeah, we can do that very soon. And 10,000 by the end of the season. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well, Dylan_RCM, and you can also join the Discord server. The link is in the description below, and also the FPL League. The code is 886RGT. Mahrez, once again, I'm not really that impressed by him, because whenever he does well, he just doesn't have a run of games to really prove himself. And I still prefer Foden, Bernardo Silva and a few others. If Bernardo Silva continues to be deployed in a defensive position, then I'm off put by him for sure. And also, if Mahrez actually gets a run in the team and he can actually stay nailed, then of course he's a great choice. But I just don't expect that to be the case right now. And there's so many midfielders you can go for. Mason Mount even, Jota, Rafinha, Bowen, Gallagher, Salah, Son, etc. that I just don't really see a place for Mahrez. Play King or Dennis and bench Gallagher and Rafinha. Yeah, I'd play Dennis out of those lot, but Still, that's 50-50. It could go either way. If King gets a penalty, then it could backfire. As for Gallagher and Rafinha, I mean, I think they could do all right, actually. Rafinha against a pretty shaky Liverpool side, and also Gallagher against Tottenham. I mean, Spurs have definitely improved defensively, but at the same time, Gallagher can still do very well against them. And despite his haul earlier in the season, that was against Nuno Espirito Santo. And Antonio Conte has improved things for sure. But yeah, I'd probably look to play Dennis Hersey. So thank you very much to everyone. If you've got any more questions that I haven't answered already, then leave them down in the comment section. And yeah, then we'll be good to go. But all of it is much appreciated. Thank you very much, everyone who's decided to tune in today. And yeah, let's just enjoy the football, hopefully, if it continues. But the meeting tomorrow will tell us a lot. There could be a good chance that we actually don't get the games in Game Week 19 and 20. But more will be clear tomorrow. And then if the games do go ahead, then we can plan accordingly. Maybe Chelsea against Villa could be one of the games that are postponed. And then we can make transfers that solve those problems. But thank you very much for watching. Good luck. Hopefully you had a good Game Week 18. And Game Week 19, 20, etc. are much better. And I'll see you next time.